The signal didn't come with a greeting. It came with a scream. A high-frequency pulse rippled across Earth's outer satellites, warping metal, crashing systems, and turning communication arrays into burning slag. The International Deep Space Array in Chile melted in silence. Radio telescopes in Australia caught a brief fragment static laced with guttural clicks, a low mechanical growl, and a final shrieking tone. Then nothing. At first, scientists thought it was a stellar anomaly. Then Jupiter's orbit twisted. A black mass, triangular and silent, shimmered into existence just beyond the gas giant. Cloaked in gravitational distortion and shielding tech humanity didn't understand. It unfolded like a dark origami beast, a warship the size of Manhattan. Behind it, dozens more, slipping through reality like ghosts made of steel and hate. Within hours, the United Nations Defense Command activated Protocol Ward, the Earth-wide military readiness program built after the Artemis Pact. Satellites switched from commercial to combat AI. Orbital stations tilted toward the incoming mass. Nukes were not aimed away from Earth, but toward space. But the aliens, the Eltarians, didn't hesitate. They didn't wait for humanity to plead, to explain, to surrender. You are a failed world. You belong to us now. They thought humanity was fractured, primitive, unworthy of mercy. They came for conquest and amusement. They had no idea what Earth had become. In a dim underground bunker beneath Colorado, General Imani Okoro stared at the live feed from Recon Drone 17. The drone's camera jittered as it zoomed in on the Eltarian flagship. Its hull shimmered with alien script pulsing, organic symbols like a glowing infection. Spines protruded from its flanks, launching orbital pods toward Earth's surface. She lit a cigarette, something she hadn't done in 20 years. They're not here to talk, she said quietly. They're here to eradicate. Beside her, Director SEO of Earth Intelligence leaned in. Then, let's be clear. We won't survive this with negotiations. Okoro exhaled. No, but they won't survive us either. The first Eltarian pods landed in Kansas. Fields of golden wheat erupted into flame as plasma claws tore through soil. Their armored creatures fused with weaponized bone and tech marched forward, scanning for resistance. They didn't expect the resistance to be waiting. A single old man stood in their path, sunburned and squinting through cracked sunglasses. Behind him, rows of repurposed irrigation drones hovered now, fitted with scrap-forged railguns and AI targeting systems. The farmer's voice crackled through a mic. Y'all must be lost. The drones lit up the Kansas sky like a sunrise made of fire. Every Eltarian invader in that field was reduced to atoms in 14.7 seconds. The world watched in disbelief. Social media exploded. For the first time in history, Earth's countries didn't argue, they aligned. From Siberian mech divisions to Brazilian jungle commando cells. From orbital nukes hidden under Antarctic ice to African cyber warfare, Ice Earth pushed back. They chose Kansas because it looked easy. Vast, flat farmland. Scattered towns, no major military bases. No orbital defenses overhead. To the Eltarian command, it was an ideal beachhead open terrain for rapid deployment. Low resistance, and plenty of human captives to study. That was their first and final mistake. The first dropship screamed through Earth's atmosphere like a black dagger, burning away clouds as it descended. It landed with surgical precision in a wheat field outside a town named Haskell, a name the aliens didn't bother to remember. Inside the ship, Command Talon Rex prepared his unit. 17 warriors, elite. Their armor flowed over their exoskeletons. Like liquid obsidian, they were fused with their weapons' bone-hardened blades, plasma darts woven into tendons, eyes that could see in 12 spectrums. Rex spoke aloud, voice translated into the guttural click language of the Eltar. These humans, they still burn wood for heat. Their skin is soft. Their minds are fractured. We will give them fear, and then, silence. The ramp dropped, and the world turned red. The field was empty at first. Then, without warning, the wheat parted. 10 of them rose from concealed pits. They carried not pesticides but modded microwave cannons. Their frames welded from farm scrap and old military surplus. The drones pulsed, once. 3 Eltarians burst like overripe fruit, their armor turning to molten slag. The others scattered, caught off guard. Then the humans stood up, camouflaged in the dirt. 10 local defenders, veterans, farmers, even teenagers, rose with homemade exosuits and magnetrifles. Their movements were jerky, imperfect. But every bullet was smart-guided. Every blast came with rage forged from generations of war. One kid, barely 16, yelled for Earth, before unleashing an EMP grenade that turned 4 Eltarians into twitching statues. Vrex screamed, rallying his troops. He activated the pulse, the Eltarian psychic weapon meant to shatter willpower. Waves of dread and despair pulsed outward worked perfectly on every species they'd ever conquered, but not this one. The humans stopped. Just for a moment, they blinked, gritted their teeth, then kept firing. The pulse didn't break them, it pissed them off. One woman, Nora Bell grandmother, ex-Marine and leader of the local militia Rex with a fusion axe. She took 3 shots to the chest and still brought the blade down through his shoulder, severing his command collar. As he fell, stunned, she whispered, "We survived worse than you before we left Europe." The rest of the Eltarians tried to retreat. They didn't make it far. An orbit sensed. Artillery barrage fired from an underground railgun. Battery disguised as a grain silo turned the rest of the landing zone into a smoldering crater. By the time the dust settled, 17 elite warriors were dead. The only human casualty, a drone technician who tripped and sprained his ankle. The footage went viral in less than an hour. The world saw Kansas farmers take down an alien elite unit using junkyard ingenuity, old tactics, and sheer nerve. In a hidden chamber aboard the Eltarian flagship, a commander reviewed the transmission. He paused it on Nora Bell's blundered face as she raised her axe and grinned. He turned to his second-in-command and said, "This species ... doesn't surrender. They evolve." They expected cities to fall. Instead, they became weapons. The Eltarian High War Command had centuries of invasion. Data civilizations crumble when their capitals are struck. Panic spreads. Communications fail. Governments collapse. Every campaign followed this pattern, but Earth didn't. When the alien armada moved to strike human population centers, it found the cities already watching, already armed, and already aiming back. The Eltarians' first coordinated strike targeted 6 global megacities: New York, Paris, São Paulo, Nairobi, Mumbai, and Beijing. Their dreadships appeared above the skylines like monolithic gods, silent, unmoving, casting shadows a mile long. Citizens stared skyward in awe for exactly 7 seconds. Then the sirens began. But not evacuation sirens, target locks. From hidden towers and disguised antennae, Earth cities unleashed hell from within the Chrysler Building. A false maintenance shaft opened and launched a swarm of guided hypersonic spears. Each was encoded to seek out alien energy signatures. They pierced Eltarian shields like they were paper. Above Times Square, a cloaked alien gunship exploded mid-air in a burning spiral. A crowd of civilians below cheered as it crashed into a billboard. Mumbai's narrow lanes erupted as nanite vapor mines were triggered remotely. The streets turned into shimmering death traps, reducing 4 landing craft into dust before they touched down. From the shadows of Dharavi, hundreds of local resistance fighters emerged equipped with hacked exosuits powered by thermal batteries. And blessed by priests before battle, they called themselves the Ash Warriors, and the aliens had no idea what hit them. The Eiffel Tower folded open like a blooming flower, revealing an ancient cannon from the Cold War, updated with alien tech scavenged from crashed meteorites. It fired once. The sky cracked. The Eltarian cruiser, above Paris, turned inside out mid-air, folding into itself with a shriek that broke windows across the city. In Kenya, a defense AI named Shuja activated. It had been dormant for decades, a secret project born from desperation. Now, it released its drones, handcrafted in silence under the cover of aid programs. They were invisible to Eltarian sensors. The drones got within 2 meters of the enemy ships before igniting electromagnetic implosion cores. The skies over Nairobi turned silver, then red, the moment the Eltarian dreadship moved into range. 5 skyscrapers detonated at their foundations, not in collapse, but in controlled ascent. They were mobile railgun towers, each disguised for years as part of the skyline. Together, they fired 50-ton tungsten rods upward at Mach 8, tearing a ship the size of an aircraft carrier in two. Brazil's old favelas had long been forgotten by global powers, but not by their people. They had built their own defenses, waiting for a day like this. Molotovs met alien flesh. Shotguns fired from rooftop soccer fields. And above it all, a homemade EMP cannon, built in a junkyard and powered by a hacked satellite dish, disabled the entire alien fleet's local navigation systems. One ship drifted and crashed into the rainforest. The jungle devoured it. Every major city on Earth fought first without waiting for orders. Hesitation meant extinction. On the Eltarian war bridge, Admiral Suin observed the tactical report in disbelief. Red marks covered the invasion map. Losses were in the hundreds. He turned, slowly, antennae trembling. Their cities are not centers of culture, they're traps, built for war. He didn't look like a soldier. The captured Eltarian lay on the steel table, limbs bound, armor cracked, blood pulsing from a dozen plasma wounds. His breathing was shallow. His inner membrane was blistered by Earth's atmosphere. He trembled when the lights flickered, and yet he smiled. "I know what comes next," he rasped through a translator node. "Fear, collapse. You'll break just like the others." Major Allah Karim stared down at him with cold eyes. "You think we haven't already broken?" she said. "We're human. We start broken." His name was Sherthal, an Eltarian psionic specialist trained to deploy the pulse, a psychic weapon engineered to paralyze enemy species with despair, disorientation, and emotional shutdown. It had never failed. Entire planets had crumbled. Under its influence, civilizations surrendered en masse. rebellions drowned in grief. And yet Earth stood. Worse, Earth was winning. Scherthel couldn't understand it, so Earth decided to teach him why. He was transported to Site Echo, a remote intelligence facility buried under the Ural Mountains. There, neuro-experts, linguists, and behaviorists studied his mind and the weapon inside it, using captured psychic data cores and stolen chip blueprints. Earth engineers decoded the basic principles behind the pulse, a waveform emotion amplifier, interfacing through brainstem resonance. In theory, it should work on any emotionally complex creature, but tests confirmed the anomaly. Humans resisted it. Not just resisted, they metabolized it. The pulse made humans angrier. Dr. Mei Chen led the interrogation team. She spoke to Scherthel calmly, gently. You assume fear stops us, she explained. But fear is our foundation. She showed him footage of Earth's own tragedies. Hiroshima, Chernobyl, Auschwitz, 9/11s, flooded cities, burning forests. Pain forged us, she said. We cried in trenches. We starved in winters. We lost continents to fire. We remember our dead and keep going. Scherthel hissed, disturbed. That's impossible. No species survives madness like that. May leaned closer. We didn't survive it. We grew from it. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, the Eltarians doubled their pulse efforts. In orbit, their command ships unleashed focused psychic bursts over combat zones. On weaker species, this would cause soldiers to abandon their weapons, curl into fetal positions, or collapse, sobbing. On Earth, it caused something else entirely. Footage from the Battle of Addis Ababa. An Eltarian assault group engaged a human tank column. As the pulse hit, humans halted for a heartbeat. Then every soldier stood straighter. Their pupils dilated. Their pulse rates surged. Pain tolerance spiked. Coordination became fluid. Lethal. It wasn't fear anymore, it was rage. A South African pilot later said, the pulse didn't break us. It reminded us why we fight. Back in Site Echo, Scherthel finally understood. Tears leaked from his eyes, clear. Not black like his species normally shed. You're not a race, he whispered. You're a storm. Major Kareem stood beside him again. We tried to welcome the stars, she said. You came with fire. So now, we'll teach you how we burn. Later, Earth's scientists weaponized the pulse against its creators, reversing the waveform, modifying it to project shame, panic, and helplessness into Eltarian ranks. It was deployed during the siege of Titan Base. Thousands of aliens threw down their weapons and screamed for mercy. None came. In space, screams are silent. But they still echo especially when they come from gods who thought they were untouchable. The Eltarian armada was regrouping. After the brutal losses on Earth and the total failure of the pulse, the High Command chose to consolidate above Saturn, far enough to regroup, close enough to strike again. They had no idea. Earth had been preparing for this exact moment. For decades, hidden beneath Saturn's rings scattered among the icy debris and moon fragments. Project Leviathan waited. Not a weapon. An ambush. The Eltarians formed a battle wedged her 12 carriers, 5 capital cores into a V pattern orbiting Saturn's largest moon, Titan. They laughed in their own language. Their analysts claimed Earth had exhausted its real weapons, that humanity had thrown all its firepower into the opening defense, and even if humans had ships, they couldn't be hiding among the rings. There was too much turbulence, too much instability. No one would risk it. But humans don't calculate risk the way others do. We build monsters in the dark. Project Leviathan wasn't a single ship, it was a fleet of silent hunters, forged in orbital black sites powered by repurposed black hole reactors and AI captains that spoke only in code. Each ship had a single purpose: to kill giants. They were shielded by diamond fiber cloaks, cooled to near absolute zero, drifting like forgotten debris between Saturn's rings, and when Earth's signal finally came, they woke up. The trap sprung in 9.8 seconds. The first Leviathan-class ship, Valkyrie Prime, emerged from the shadows and drove a tungsten lance through a Eltarian carrier's gravity core. The second ship, Umbra Fang, released a swarm of Hunterdron's microscopic railgun platforms that chewed through alien hulls molecule by molecule. By the time the Eltarian command ship turned to respond, 11 of their ships were already dead. Admiral Suin shouted, "Where did they come from?" "Everywhere." From Titans, methane lakes, human subsurface platforms, launched kinetic rods, upward, invisible, untraceable, and faster than bullets. 3 alien flagships exploded before their sensors detected the impact. From behind Saturn's shadow, the Oblivion's Edge, Earth's largest dreadnought, emerged in silence. It fired its core disruptor, an experimental beam that warped time and space. The beam didn't hit it, removed a cruiser from existence. No debris. No flame. Just gone. Inside the Eltarian command net, panic fractured cohesion. They had trained for planetary war, not predator warfare in deep space. Their ships tried to scatter. Some even attempted to surrender. No one heard them. Earth's AI communications firewall codenames, Sphinx jammed their cries and rerouted every distress call into silence. In orbit of Titan, human war veterans watched from digital overlays. As the battlefield turned red, Colonel Briggs grunted. "We've waited 20 years to test Leviathan." ACOM's officer asked, "Should we call for backup?" Briggs smirked. "Backup? Kid, we were the backup." In less than 20 minutes, 42% of the Eltarian invasion force was destroyed. Another third was disabled, drifting. The rest ran. But they didn't escape. Every ship that jumped into hyperspace left behind a signature trail, now traceable. Earth didn't just win the battle, they marked the galaxy with blood. Back on Earth, General Okoro stood before a wall of red blinking lights. Each one an Eltarian ship, now silent. She turned to her staff. "Let them understand. We were quiet because we were waiting, not because we were weak." The Eltarians came to Earth, expecting war. They got a bar fight with a species that hid knives in their boots and smiled while bleeding. After the massacre at Saturn, the Eltarian fleet was reeling. Morale was collapsing, communications in chaos. The psychic pulse had failed. Casualties exceeded anything the Empire had ever experienced. Their tactical models, built over centuries of galactic conquest, could not comprehend the resistance Earth was offering. Where CERT was no longer just defending, it was hunting. In low orbit over the Atlantic, Eltarian cruisers limped through re-entry, desperate to regroup with surviving units. Scanning systems ran on overdrive, searching for human ships, missiles, rail signatures, anything. They missed the iceberg, or what they thought was an iceberg. The 400-meter mass floating in the ocean below was actually the L-37 Leviathan mine barge, cloaked and disguised beneath frozen oceanic camouflage. It released its payload silently. MP whales, cyber-organic decoys shaped like sea creatures, each carrying anti-ship warheads and sonar SCR-AMBLERS. One cruiser scanned the ocean and saw nothing but thermal noise. Then the water exploded. The EMP whales swarmed a hull, fried its internal systems, and disabled propulsion. The cruiser fell from the sky, like a wounded beast, right into the waiting teeth of Earth's coastal artillery grid. On the battlefield, things got even dirtier. In Southeast Asia, a team of Earth's cyber warfare operatives teamed Maradna, a digital virus crafted from stolen Eltarian code. The virus was disguised as a distressed Bikona plea from one of the Eltarians' own ships. When it was received by the enemy fleet's command hub, it opened a wormhole of chaos. Automated targeting systems flipped. Internal life support cycles inverted. Command protocols rerouted. LTARIN. Ships began firing on each other, confused and disoriented. Some vented their own officers into space, mistaking them for hostiles. One ship performed an emergency hyperspace jump into the atmosphere of Venus. In the Americas, Earth deployed their last resort ground unit, Golem Corps exosuit operators, who had long been labeled too aggressive for combat. Each wore a 1.2-ton armored frame with magnetic pulse shields and ceramic razor fins. They didn't speak. They didn't follow conventional command. They just moved in silence through rubble, smoke, and alien crossfire and ripped Eltarian squads apart. Live feeds from helmet cams circulated in real time. One operator was seen grabbing an Eltarian by its plasma cannon and slamming it into a tank until the gun and alien both broke. The galaxy had rules, honor, battle formations, protocols. Earth did not care. Earth poisoned rivers the invaders drank from. They sent surrender beacons laced with trackers. They dropped psychorfare leaflets written in alien script saying, "We saw your gods. We broke them." They unleashed sound weapons calibrated to mimic Eltarian mating calls, causing widespread confusion and humiliation on comms channels. Humanity fought like demons, because that's what the Eltarians had unleashed. On the Eltarian bridge, chaos reigned. Admirals screamed. Drones failed. Sub-commanders vanished. Admiral Suin stared at a live feed showing humans climbing aboard a burning cruiser using grappling lines and machetes. "This isn't a species," he said, "it's a curse." And somewhere deep in Earth's command bunker, General Okoro updated the combat protocol. "They're not fighting a war. They're trying to survive a horror show." Good. Let them choke on the terror they brought. The last Eltarian flagship ran. It fled past the moon, past Earth's orbital ruins, and into the red shadows of Mars, where it hoped to rally what little remained of its once proud fleet. But Mars was never empty. It was waiting. The dreadnought Varens limped into Martian orbit, wounded, trailing molten metal from its side vents, and dragging the wreckage of a destroyed escort frigate. Its shields sputtered. Its weapons flickered like dying stars. Inside, Admiral Suin brooded over charts, silent, cold. He had lost 27 ships in Earth's system. Millions of soldiers dead. Protocols failed. Tactics countered. Technologies hacked. They had misjudged humanity. Gravely, "Send out the recall signal," Suin ordered. "All surviving units, rally above this dead rock. We will strike once more without mercy." But Mars was listening, and Mars struck first. Without warning, the atmosphere above the red planet shimmered. Dust storms howled and swirled into geometric shapes, controlled turbulence. Then a dozen launch trails arced from the Martian surface. Weapons no one had seen before. Missiles with diamond-laced holes and adaptive AI brains, designed not just to strike but to learn mid-flight. They twisted mid-course, accelerated, split, and reassembled mid-air to match enemy evasive maneuvers. One slammed into Varen's will, boring through armor plating like it was wet clay. Another tore into the rear thrusters. Two more pierced straight into the communications tower, silencing the dreadnought in an instant. Suen staggered. Where did they come from? The answer came seconds later. From the southern rim of Olympus Mons, Mars's long-rumored human base code named Forge, one erupted from the dust. It had been hidden for decades, disguised as seismic noise beneath the Martian crust. A multi-tiered defense platform, housing drone bays, solar fusion cannons, and Earth's most classified orbital interceptor squads. And now it was awake. Above Mars, the sky tore open as Earth's Martian fleet to cloak dozens of light ships, running silent, covered in blood-red armor and bristling with kinetic lances. Unlike the larger Leviathans, these weren't built for brute force. They were precision hunters. They sliced through the remaining Eltarian stragglers like scalpels, through flesh. Inside Varen's will, alarms screamed. Suen barked commands. Deploy interceptors. Flood the flanks. But the flanks were already gone. Boarding parties were on the hull. Human void soldiers draped in matte black exosuits. Faces masked by mirrored helmets moved like shadows across the dreadnought's exterior. Their boots magnetized, their weapons silent. They cut through airlocks with thermal knives. Then they entered. What followed was not a battle, it was an execution. Corridor by corridor, bay by bay, the humans moved. Clearing rooms, planting charges, slicing through Eltarian defenders who barely had time to react. They fought like ghosts, relentless, quiet, efficient. One Eltarian warpriest raised a surrender beacon. The human in front of him holstered his rifle, then slit the priest's throat with a carbon blade. At the ship's command bridge, Admiral Suen made his final stand. He watched as the humans breached the inner doors. He raised a plasma rifle, fired 3 times, all missed. A female soldier stepped through the smoke face, obscured. Voice calm, she aimed once. This is for Kansas. 1 shot. 1 admiral, gone. Varen's will cracked in 2 above Mars, its wreckage scattering into the thin atmosphere like dust from an ancient tomb. The stars were quiet now. No more war chants, no more Eltarian signals, just drifting metal, glowing debris, and the watchful silence of Earth. But silence didn't mean peace, it meant calculation, preparation, judgment, and Earth remembered everything. On Earth's surface, the skies were slowly healing. The auroras still shimmered with radiation from the orbital burn. Cities, those that survived, were lit by flickering power grids and torchlight alike. In one such city, buried beneath Colorado granite, Commandant Vega stood before the world. Council in the war chamber, around her, holograms of wrecked Eltarian fleets. Footage of orbital dogfights, decrypted alien broadcasts. Their invasion was never just military, Vega said. It was a statement, a claim. They called us prey species, too fragmented, too primitive, too emotional. She paused, sweeping her hand across the air, shifting to a display of Earth's retaliatory timeline. And now, they know emotion is what makes us unstoppable. In orbit, the last Eltarian transmission played on loop. To all surviving fleets, do not return to Earth. Do not engage. They are not prey. They are extinction incarnate. The voice was ragged, broken. It ended with a long, mechanical gasp, then silence. But Earth wasn't finished. Aboard the reassembled human flagship, the UHS Revenant, Council of Earth, remaining military factions met, not to plan defense, not to debate revenge. They brought the fire to our doorstep, growled Admiral Han. We take the war to theirs. No, countered AI Director Lena Voss. We don't just retaliate. We rewrite the rules. We end the myth that humanity is weak. We leave a mark on the galaxy that echoes for 1,000 years. And so, the plan was born. Operation Echo Fall. SRF rebuilt. Thousands of microdrones left the atmosphere silent, cloaked. Fast. They didn't attack, they observed. They mapped every remaining Eltarian colony, every convoy, every warp, beacon. And one by one, they began to disappear. Disappearing ships, vanishing outposts, silent signals. The galaxy noticed. On the distant world of Keltrix 4, an Eltarian senator spoke before the unified assembly. They were supposed to be savages, beasts. Yet in 4 solar cycles, we've lost 17 colonies, 32 ships, and 8 capital cities. Not through invasion, through precision, through fear. He trembled. Earth is not a world, it is a weapon, and we built it with our arrogance. Meanwhile, on the edge of a shattered asteroid belt, an scavenger ship stumbled upon the wreckage of Varen's will, bodies frozen and void, holes carved with strange symbols. One survivor floated nearby, encased in a sealed Eltarian combat pod, his eyes wide, unblinking. On his arm, scratched in dried blood, were the words, "They never stopped coming." Back on Earth, in a classroom, Of refugee children, a teacher told the story of first contact. She didn't mention fleets or generals. She spoke of fire in the skies, of cities that rose from ruin, of people who refused to kneel. A child raised their hand. Did we win? The teacher smiled. We survived, and we made sure the stars would never forget us again.